Hello. Today I'll be featuring a ship that has been requested quite a bit, and one that I realized I don't even know if I've actually made a commentary on it. But it's obviously the Mahan, the T7 US destroyer, and I chose this game because usually these days as T7 you get fairly good matchmaking, but I considered Mahan a very strong ship, so I picked one where I'm up against T8s and T9s as well, so definitively quite the challenge. Of course, the strengths of the Mahan is the very competitive HP pool, especially if you use the survivability expert buff, which I do use on USDD captains these days, and of course, finally, the gun power. It has excellent guns, very good short range DPM, but the major weakness of this ship is, of course, it's in a bit of a crossroads between the Farragut and the Benson, meaning the concealment is quite garbage on it. Mostly because, well, at T8 you get the concealment module, which lowers the Benson's concealment, and at T6 you have a fairly low concealment, so this is kind of the stepping stone where your concealment is pretty much awful. So you have to play around it quite a bit. But another strength is, of course, the fact that you have very good smokes because you are a USDD, and USDDs have excellent smokes with very long duration, long bloom times and such. Hence why I have no issues charging into this cap. I'm not even in a hurry to. There we go, popping my smoke once I'm in the cap. And I'm gonna keep my speed up while I'm stopping now, but once it actually starts blooming and I know that I'm undetected, I speed up again, because the reason why I do this way, see I'm putting it on quarter speed, is because I want to spread the size of this smoke circle I'm in, or this smoke area I'm in. Not only does it help my team more, but it also helps me because it makes it harder for enemy DDs or enemy torpedo boats in general to torpedo in the smoke if the larger the smoke is, because they have less of a target to aim for. Now the upgraded Mahan torps are 9.2 kilometer range, which actually means you can stealth torp on a USDD, which is something quite new at this point for most USDD captains. And of course, but at this point they are still slow, they don't really do much damage, and well, the cooldown is as long as you'd expect for decent long-range torpedoes. So they are more of a bonus at this point than anything else. Your primary damage source is still your guns, and relying on your torpedoes to do your damage for you or get your XP or credits for you is going to be a waste of time. No, most of the time in the Mahan you honestly want to be doing what I'm here. Well, first of all, you want to push into caps and contest, because USDDs are top tier knife fighters. They are very good at these close range brawling fights because of their fast turret traverse and fast firing guns and all of this, which makes them excellent at just picking close range fights against other DDs. But once you have your smoke set up, there's no reason to really exit it in a hurry. You see, I'm just going to use the full duration of my smoke. I have some teammates who are also using my smoke, and in general I'm just going to sit here and shoot at anything that moves. Fletcher, if I get the vision of this guy, obviously I call target on him as well, because Fletcher is naturally a huge threat to me. But that looks like a stock Fletcher, or I think he's not using the captain perk for HP. And the reason why I really like this HP perk is that it makes you so much more competitive when fighting other DDs. It makes you such a better knife fighter. And the other reason why I spec the US into the survivability expert is because these days there's so many ways to spot you in the smoke. Like, regardless of how intelligently you play, there are so many ways to spot you. My smoke is running out, so I'm bailing, throwing some torps at Gneiser now, but in general I'm going to focus on shooting the Benson. Now you shouldn't be too afraid of fighting higher tier gunboats in the Mahan, because you actually have very competitive firepower. They have some small advantages of course, but in general the knife fight isn't as heavily skewed in their favor as it might look at first. So especially this guy who has broken engines, meaning his acceleration is hampered a lot. He has last stand, which is why he's moving, I think. But, or did he have? I don't know. But he's about to hit my torps, and I'm obviously raining gunfire on him as well, so this Benson is going to be absolutely toast. So that's our first DD kill here. I switch back over to the Gneiser now, who dodged my torps, and I just keep hammering some damage into him. I'm not really being shot at yet, so I'm not in a hurry or in a panic to activate this smoke. In fact, there's really not much need for it yet, because he isn't even focusing on me, and he's being burned down by pretty much everyone because he pushed into this cap. Now, What was I saying? Oh yeah, you shouldn't be too afraid of picking these fights. And I was talking about survivability expert. These days there's so many radars at T7. Like they've added the Indianapolis with the radar. Oh, they've given the radar to Atlanta as well. There's the Belfast with the radar. And if you get up tiered like this against New Orleans and stuff, and there might be Chapayevs and stuff, there's so many radars in the game now that there are times that regardless of how well you play, you're still going to get spotted at times you shouldn't because of radar. And that's the reason why I've switched over to survivability expert on USDDs, because not only does it give you an edge in DD knife fights, but you can no longer simply avoid taking shells simply by intelligent play, but you really need that additional HP as a buffer against all these different ways you can be spotted. Hence my decision to switch to survivability expert. It's also of course extremely useful in ranked play. You probably saw my Farragut ranked play again on the NA server, and you saw how much of a bully you can become with that ship when you have a bit more HP to play with. And the same thing applies here, and of course the same thing applies to Benson. In fact, most Benson captains will use it at this point. Fletcher, now no need to panic. Yes, it's a T9 USDD, but once again, your gun power is no joke, and you shouldn't underestimate it. He has some advantages, but I trust in my own aim, my own accuracy here. So while his DPM is better, I'm still able to inflict significant damage, and I'm only going to smoke when it looks like I'm taking a ton of damage, or it looks like he's going to turn away and I don't want to stay detected, like here. You see I landed 3 torps on that North Carolina I aimed at. So I've smoked up and I'm in cover. Sadly that means I lost vision of this Fletcher, but I did get significant damage on him. And T7 DD is... well, I'm actually going to kill him now. Yeah, but even getting, like, trading equal damage with a T9, with a Fletcher and a Mahan, is a win for you, of course, because he has so many advantages in that fight. But killing him is, of course, a huge leg up for you. So that's both the Benson and the Fletcher killed in the Mahan. And as long as you don't... well, they have the spotting advantage, but if you can work around that and you actually make it a fair fight at these distances, then you shouldn't underestimate the amount of damage you can do with these guns. This North Carolina, of course, ate my torps earlier, so I know that he's used his damage con. It's been a while though, but any fires might last a long duration before his repair comes up again. Sadly, I lost vision, but hey, I did get one fire before he disappeared, so that's good. This Gneisenau now looks like you might want him to push up. Now, of course, the Mahan has a bit of a unique turret setup, torpedo setup, meaning you got 3 launchers, but you can only launch one of them are restricted to your broadsides. That can actually catch enemy DDs by surprise, or enemy ships in general by surprise. They see you launch 2 volleys, and then you turn your ship around, and suddenly you got a 3rd volley to launch. And this can catch a lot of people by surprise, which is why I actually quite like it. And it's of course an advantage. And it's a bit weird because the Farragut has 2 launchers, then this one has 3, and then you get to the Benson that also has 2. So this is a bit of an... the Mahan is in general a bit of an odd one out. But the Mahan is a strong DD, extremely strong. It used to be horridly weak. It used to be one of the most underpowered ships in the game by far. But they have given the ship significant buffs since release. Well, the buffs came a long time ago, basically, because they were obviously aware of how abysmal the stats on the Mahan were. And these buffs have obviously had a significant impact, and right now I consider the Mahan extremely fun to play. Of course, once again, using the full duration, the smoke I used against the Fletcher, I'm still using that smoke. This is how long the USDD smokes last. They last for absolutely ages, and as long as you're in a good position, as I am here, there's nothing stopping you from like getting the most out of them, just hammering down a rain of fire on everything. It finally ran out, of course. Always keep an eye out for your timers, so you know when your smoke is about to run out, so you don't accidentally fire just as it runs out and you get needlessly detected. In this case I didn't fire, because, well, why bother? I got fires on the Gneisenau, I got torps on the Colorado, and I'm so low that even one battleship shell could end me, so I'm just gonna wait until my smoke comes off cooldown again. And that's not a long time you need to wait, because, as I said, the smokes are one of the biggest strengths on the Mahan, on USDDs in general. Got 2 seconds to go for my smoke. Popping it now. I got a hit on the bow, but surprisingly no flooding. Usually if you take a torp on the bow, that's pretty much guaranteed flooding, as compared to the belt where there might be a bit of a lesser chance. But still, I'm gonna just start hammering on with the HE on him. Even shells that don't really deal damage, of course, can still start a fire as long as they hit on the deck, or well, as long as they hit somewhere where a fire isn't really. I'm just gonna keep hammering him. He's so low HP. If he gives a lot of broadside, I might consider switching to AP because he's so low, but as long as he keeps angled like this, I'm just gonna stick to the HE spam. I'm not gonna get this kill either. Well, it looks like the game is about to end. Nothing more than I can do. 997 points, 1000. We won the game. And this was a Mahan against highly up-tiered opponents, against Bensoners, against Fletchers, and so forth. And you can see what's that? Oh, 50 random battles. This is my US account, so I haven't really played it much. But you can see the amount of XP I got. I mean, a T7 on top of all these T8s and T9s. It shows you just how much carrying power you can really have in this lower tier destroyer, as long as you play to its strengths. The strengths, which are smokes and guns, use those to your advantage at all times, because, well, do that and you will shine. Alright, moving on to the build itself. As usual, I will start with modules. I highly recommend getting the range first. As I've mentioned a couple times already, I highly value the guns on this ship, so increasing the range, especially since you don't have AFT, is very important. Once you have the range, you can get the hull, which gives you, or you should get the hull, which gives you HP and turning speed, and then you upgrade the torpedoes for that additional range. The sea hull is only there if you want to slot the defensive AA instead of the engine boost. That's the only reason to get the sea hull. You lose a turret if you get it, but you will be able to protect yourself better against CVs. I don't find it necessary, but if you have issues with CVs, that's an option. Consumable wise, use smoke generator 2. You can use all of them premium if you don't have money issues, but if you have money issues, like many new players do, then just use the premium smoke for doubloons, or for credits, sorry. Upgrade wise, main armaments and aiming system mod 1, both upgrade your guns and torpedo tubes. Damage control, since I have last stand, so I don't really worry too much about losing engine or rudder shift. And finally, I use propulsion mod. That's because your rudder shift is already 2.7 seconds, so improving that by 20% won't even make a difference, whereas this propulsion mod allows you to start and stop quicker in smokes and allows you to dodge torps better, which is highly important considering how much you will be using the smokes. Captain perks wise, basic firing training, faster reload on your main guns, all the way to T10, obviously huge. Last stand, absolute must have on a gunboat, or well, any DD in general, but especially a gunboat since you will be fighting a lot. Superintendent, you want that additional smoke, very much so. And of course survivability expert, which scales with every tier and just gets stronger. And finally, of course, I'm saving for concealment expert, which you will probably reach around the end of the Benson, around Fletcher maybe, depending on how well you do. Anyway, that was my Mayhem commentary. I hope you enjoyed it.